Hello and welcome to this video. We were continuing the first chapter of your history, that is the French Revolution. In last video, we discussed about the growing of middle class, and in this video, we will discuss about the outbreak of the revolution. The French Revolution went through various stages. When Louis XVI became the king of France in 1774, he inherited a treasury which was empty. There was growing discontent within the society of the old regime. We already discussed about this that in 1774 Louis XVI became the king of France. He belonged to Bourbon dynasty and he was just 20 years old when he became the king of France. When he became the king of France, he was handed over a empty treasure. Their treasure house was empty because of the luxurious spend of his ancestors and because of France's involvement in war for a longer period of time. Then there was an unequal distribution in the taxation policy, and the countries who lended to France increased their interest rate. And in order to manage that, Louis XVI decided to increase the tax which was single handedly paid by only third estate people. And that news was spreaded among the crowd before Louis XVI announced it officially. So now it's time when Louis XVI decided to announce it officially that the tax is going to be raised. In 1789, Louis XVI called the States General to pass the proposal for new taxes. He called all the three states representatives to discuss about the new proposal of rising tax. The first and second states sent 300 representatives each. So, for the discussion, the first and second states sent their representative of 300 members each. The first state sent 300 representatives and the second state sent 300 representatives. As the third state was the largest in numbers of people or population, the third state had 600 members. The third state was represented by its more prosperous and educated members, and the 600 members, the 600 representatives that was sent by third state people were mainly comprised of the prosperous and educated section of third state. We already discussed that third state was divided into two groups. One was less prosperous, poor and uneducated, and the other section comprised of wealthy, prosperous, educated group. So the 600 representatives were mainly composed of the prosperous and well educated members of third estate. Peasants, artisans and women were denied entry to the assembly. The deprived section, the peasant, the artisans, the women, they had no right to enter to the assembly. The division of the estate was itself very unfair, and in addition to that, the representatives that the third estate people were sending to the assembly was again unfair, as the poorer section, the women, they were not permitted to be a part of assembly. Voting in the Estates General in the past had been conducted according to the principle that each estate had one vote. This time too, Louis XVI was determined to continue the same practice. Before Louis XVI, whoever remained the king of France, there was a practice that each state had one vote. The first state people had 300 representatives, but all the 300 representatives had one vote. The second state people, they had 300 representatives, but 300 representatives had one vote. And the third state people had 600 representatives, as it seems that third state people have more number of representative, but the 600 representatives had one vote. So this time too, Louis XVI determined that the same trend is going to be practiced, that each have their one voting power and they will vote in favor or in against of his new proposal, that is to increase the tax. But the members of the third estate determined that voting now be conducted by the assembly as a whole, where each member would have one vote. But this time, the representative of the third estate were determined that they were going to demand for a voting system as a whole, where each member have one vote, which was very much necessary. Otherwise, just think that first and second estate people were exempted from all the form of taxes, so it is very obvious that they will vote in favor of the new proposal, whereas the burden of tax was completely borne by the people of third estate, so it was very obvious that they will oppose. The whole representatives of a single estate had one vote in together, and that was not fair. So the member of third estate were determined that this time the voting system has to be changed. Louis XVI rejected the proposal of each member having one vote. And in protest of that, members of the third estate walked out of the assembly in protest. They walked out of assembly. They left the assembly incomplete. That's all about this video. Thank you.